Hola, good afternoon to everybody. Good afternoon. This is Abelardo de la Peña Jr., Director of Marketing and Communications with La Plaza de Cultura y Artes, welcoming you to En Casa con la Plaza Cocina. Every Monday we have En Casa con la Plaza Cocina, where we demonstrate the best of Mexican, Mexican-American, Chicano, Latino cuisine from our home to yours. Thank you for joining us. If you're on Zoom, please let us know where you're zooming in from. If you're on Facebook, use the comment section. Let us know where you're viewing from. And you can ask questions, make comments. We welcome them. This is an interactive session of En Casa con la Plaza Cocina. Just a couple updates of what's happening at La Plaza. Of course, we've been open now for a couple months. From Wednesday through Monday, we're open today till 5 o'clock, our museum. And closed only on Tuesday. Don't have to make reservations, but we do require you to please wear your masks. Thank you so much for that. We've started our programming. We had a big weekend this past Friday and Sunday. Friday, our first summer of salsa dance concert with Arsenio Rodriguez Project. And Sunday was our 10th anniversary family day filled with music, dancing, workshops, fun, festivities, alegría. It was a lot of fun. If you haven't checked out our, let's see if I have a little brochure with me now. No, I don't have one here, but we have published our calendar brochure. Come down to La Plaza de Cultura y Artes, pick one up and plan out your weekends from here until the end of the year. Or you could check out our events at lapca.org, including our live at La Plaza events, plus our En Casa con La Plaza events that are coming up. With that, let me turn it over to our host for this afternoon, Jimena Martin, our Director of Programming and Culinary Arts. Hello, Jimena.
Buenas tardes, Abelardo. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. A little chilly today, but I don't mind.
We had such a nice weekend to kick off our public programs. So exciting to see families back at La Plaza.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. So today we have a very special guest. We have Wendy Centeno from Guayaba Kitchen. Our first chef from the Valley and my favorite chef in the Valley right now, with amazing food, great messaging, head of Guayaba Kitchen. Hi, Wendy, how are you? Oops.
I'm doing awesome. Thank you so much. How are y'all doing?
We're good. We're good. I know today we were going to do not your cheese, and we had to switch it out because of ingredients. So we're switching out to calabacita rellena, stuffed squash.
Yes, we're gonna make some stuffed squash today. But I will be hosting other cooking classes with La Plaza, so we will be making that cheese. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah, just give us a little background of back to how important with recipes your specific ingredients are. The reason why we couldn't make the nacho cheese was something was missing. What was that was really important to the recipe that was missing for today?
Well, if anyone's familiar with making vegan cheese, one of the main ingredients is nutritional yeast. And for some reason, I wasn't able to find it at my local store where I usually purchase it. So I said, shoot, we're going to do Plan B, which is something that I actually made in the weekend. So we're going to make it again. I'm going to share this recipe with you. I have a really dear friend, Mr. Steve Liss, who teaches here at Silmar High School in the agriculture department. And he is a master gardener. He grows tons of stuff. And he hooked me up with a bunch of beautiful tomatoes, a bunch of varieties. So I said, you know what, vamos a hacer un guiso, like a saute. And I'm going to show you all how to stuff some squash, which is in season right now. And yeah, it's a really cool recipe, super simple. A lot of the ingredients we already have at home. So hope y'all enjoy today's recipe.
So I know we've had you on a couple of times, but I know the Guayaba Kitchen, just a little background on how the name came to be.
Yeah, Guayaba Kitchen. I am the chef and owner of Guayaba Kitchen. I'm a cooking collective here in the Valley. So I teach. I've been teaching professionally for about 10 years, a little over 10 years. And Guayaba Kitchen just really started out of necessity. Before I started teaching cooking classes, I was, really involved in the community. working through just addressing issues in our community. And one of the things that I saw was the lack of access to healthy foods here in the Northeast San Fernando Valley. And that really sparked my interest in just really focusing on being able to provide people with recipes that we're already familiar with. I think that's really important. That I share recipes with families that they already know what it's going to taste like, right? And they didn't even know that they can make it, plant-based. And in reality, a lot of like our recetas originales, a lot of our original recipes are plant-based. So I really took that idea and just ran with it, and the community really welcomed me with like huge open arms, because they too know that we need to be able to create our ancestral recipes and pass them down, but also see food as a way of healing ourselves, right? I teach a class right now with youth. It's a self-care, cooking for self-care class. So where we try to connect through writing and food journaling, how food directly, how it makes us feel, eating certain types of food, and how that correlates with the mood in our body and the energy that we're putting out. So I think that food has that power, to either make us feel really good or to make us feel really bad. So hopefully the recipes that I'm sharing with people make them feel good, and help them to really explore new ways on how to introduce a lot more veggies into their diet. I'm not plant-based, but I do advocate for people really adding more veggies to their diet. So this is just a way, I do eat meat every now and then, but I also like to share the benefits of really just throwing in as many vegetables as possible. And I have a 7-year-old son who's super picky, so I'm a master of like hiding the vegetales for him to become more familiar with that flavor, and eventually have him like full blown, here, you're gonna eat a whole squash, instead of me like rayándola or like making
Hiding it.
Small.
I'm telling you, Wendy, there's a cookbook in there. You've got to put a collection of those recipes together.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm putting stuff together right now for my family, because again, like a lot of these recipes are inspired by my family, and a lot of and I know a lot of us out there that are watching too have family members that are suffering from chronic diseases. So I really want to focus my first recipe collection to share with my family, and then eventually spread it out to everybody else. But this is one of them that's going to be that I'm going to be sharing. So hopefully y'all like it. I know we can hook everybody up with the recipe as well. Está bien delicioso. Really feeling really good.
Bueno, antes de empezar, a couple hellos, and then you show us how to do la calabaza rellena. So we got here Elvia Sanchez, San Antonio, Texas, but originally from Inglewood and Palm Springs.
Cool.
And then we have Holly Lynn Porter from Apple Valley. And of course, Lydia de los Rios, saludos de Claremont.
Very nice. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Welcome. I am in the San Fernando Valley right now, and it's hot. I know some people in LA got some rain. I think we just got like the heat wave, but it's really hot out here. I got the AC going. I got my ollas going. So let's, are we ready to jump into the recipe?
Absolutely.
Cool. All right. So this is actually, I like this recipe because no vamos a hacer ensuciadero. We don't need a bunch of pots and pans. I've got one pan back here preheating, and I have a lid that's a little bit raised. It's not flat, because I'm using this little bolita squash. So this one is going to be popping out a little bit. So I don't want a flat lid to kind of flatten it out. So see, it's a little bit raised. But if you don't have one, what you can do is you could just get another saucepan and invert it on top. That way it has like a little dome, okay? So I'm going to be using 2 different squashes, just because sometimes you might not be able to find this, but it has the same a flavor profile, really mild, very meaty inside. So this is a round one, and this is just your average one that we find in the grocery store. These are both Mexican squash. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna stuff these with a guiso or a saute. And the saute is gonna have onions and garlic and tomato and some organic sweet corn. And I've got some vegan melting cheese here, but you can use any kind of cheese. I've made this with like queso chihuahua. And it comes out really, really good. You can use queso fresco, or you can, if you don't want any cheese, you don't have to put any cheese at all. But I feel like that's gonna add a little bit more, make it a little more filling with a little bit of cheese. So let's start hollowing these babies out. So I'm gonna be using 3, and this will be enough for like, I think one of them will be enough for one person. So yeah, depending on what you wanna make. So let me show you how we're gonna hollow these out. So I'm just gonna cut off the top. I'm looking to make like a little cup with these. And I like to use these because they're a little easier to hollow out. I have a spoon here, and I'm just gonna go around. There you go, take that out. And take as much as possible of the meat out. And we're gonna set the meat aside and kind of chop it up. So that looks good. That's one. And then these, I'm just gonna cut off this tough stem right here and cut it right down the middle. And the same kind of concept, we're just gotta make sure we try not to puncture the squash, but if you do, it's really okay, not a big deal. But of course, these are cuter. So if you can find these, definitely do it with that. So you see, I'm just taking out some of the meat. Right? And I'll do that with another one. And I'm setting the carnita or the insides aside because we're gonna chop this up and kind of put it off to the side. And if you have any questions or if a part of the process you don't understand, just type it up in the chat and we'll be able to answer. Don't be shy. This is your cooking class. We're here for you.
So Wendy, if by chance we can't find the Mexican squash, can we use the Italian squash instead?
Yeah, you sure can. The flavor profile on the Italian squash is a little more bitter, but it'll totally work. And right now in the summertime, you should not have any difficulty finding these squash. But yeah, you can totally use Italian squash. But again, it's gonna be a little more bitter. That's why I like to use this Mexican squash because it's very mild and it does really take on whatever flavor that you add to it.
Well, the funny thing, all squashes are from Mexico.
There you go.
It just happens the Italians like the green one, and then it was baptized Italian, but under the umbrella, all squash is from the Americans.
There you go. All right, so we've got these babies right here. So these are three calabazas. So what I'm gonna do is I'm lightly gonna salt them with just some sea salt, just the insides. All right. That's gonna help draw out some of that moisture in them so they don't get all soggy, but also to add that flavor inside. So I already have my olla back here. I just have a 8-inch skillet heating up. I'm gonna add a tiny bit of avocado oil. You can use any kind of neutral oil that you like. I'm probably gonna do like a teaspoon of it. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a quick saute on these calabacitas with the cut side down because I want these to cook a little bit before I stuff them. So my pan is hot. You always got to make sure that your pan is hot when you're cooking. You don't want your food to go in there and just chill and absorbing all the oil. You really want it to do what it's supposed to do. So I have it at about a medium high, and I'm just gonna do a quick saute on that. So while that's doing their thing, we still have all of our insides right here, and I'm gonna do a rough chop on these. Everything that's gonna go into these calabacitas has to be pretty finely chopped because we don't have a lot of space for filling. So I'm just gonna run my knife through these while my calabazas are doing their thing back there. And again, with my youth class, I think this is the challenging part in my youth class because they are beginners, you know, they're beginners, they're learning how to cook. And so I'm teaching them how to multitask. So we've got one thing going on the stove, but we got another thing going on right here on the cutting board también.
Where are these teaching classes? Where the teens classes are held?
I am teaching them through Tia Chucha's Cultural here. It's a cultural center here in Silmar. It's a bookstore and cultural center that focuses on the arts and healing through arts. And so I'm teaching them with them. And they're all online right now. But we are working on looking for a kitchen here in the Valley, a commercial kitchen where we can teach these classes in person. Eventually, we want to get back into it in person. All right, you see that? Wait, that's what we're looking for to get that nice color. So I'm just gonna flip them over and get some color on the other side too. So remember I told y'all this is a one pan thing. Miren qué bonito. Okay. So I'm gonna let them do that. And I've got, ya vieron how I've cut up my zucchini or calabacitas. Really nice. This is gonna be part of our saute that we're adding. So I'm just gonna put this into a little bowl and start working on everything else that we're gonna saute. You hear that sizzle back there, Jimena?
I do.
Okay, so we're gonna take these out and I'm gonna bring the heat back down to low. Remember I had it at about a medium. And I've got a really nice color on these. See that? This is just a quick saute. They're still not fully cooked. They're gonna continue cooking once we stuff them and add a sauce that we're gonna make. So I've got that back there on low. Now we're going to dice an onion. You can really use any onion. I just find myself liking to use white onion. So we're gonna use half of it and we're gonna dice it up. Elvia is asking, do you want to season the calabacitas at all? Yeah, so remember we added a little bit of salt, just a tiny bit. We don't want to over season because we are going to add a sauce to them. And then we're also going to season our saute or our guisado. So we don't want to overdo it. Just a tiny bit of salt on them.
We have another saludos. We have Marisela Hernandez. Hello from Venice. And thank you for reminding us about the seasoning of the zucchinis. I know some folks just pulled up right now, just came online right now. So thank you for sharing that one nice tip.
It's just a tiny little sprinkle of salt just to give them a little seasoning to draw out some of that moisture from them. So we are dicing an onion now. So y'all saw I cut down. I didn't cut all the way. And I'm kind of following the natural grooves of the onion here. Now I'm going to flip my knife over and come in here.
Wendy, when you work with the kids, do you teach them basic knife skills as well?
I do, yes. And this is one of our cuts that we practice, is this dice here. I teach them, basic knife skills and how to safely handle a knife, how to sharpen your knife. Those are usually the first classes that we do. And then we get into our cooking. So there's my cebolla. I only used half an onion, white. You can use yellow or whatever kind of onion you got lying around. I have a chile jalapeño here. Everything's already rinsed and ready to go. Usually I do my grocery shopping on like Mondays. I come home and I rinse everything. Whatever needs to be soaked in vinegar, I do that. And then I, put them away in my fridge. So that way I just grab it and I know that it's ready to go. So I'm going to do a really nice little mince on this one too. And that just means que lo voy a cortar bien finito. I'm going to chop it up really, really fine. Because again, remember, we don't have a lot of space in our calabacitas to put big old pieces of stuff in there. Just a quick chop. It's also really important that you have a super sharp knife. Contrary to what you might think, it's safer to have a sharper knife than it is to have a dull knife. If you have a dull knife, your ingredients can move around and causing you to cut yourself. But if it's super sharp, it's gonna go in there really nice. So I just buy like a sharpening stone. My local Galleria market or any Asian market, they usually have them there for like $2-3, you know. And you can YouTube like how to sharpen your knife on like Japanese style with a sharpening stone. Looks good. All right, and we're also gonna add some garlic. And you know what? I hear a lot of people coming down with colds right now, so add extra garlic. Okay, garlic is gonna help you fight off those colds. So I'm just gonna slice it up and then we'll dice. So we're working on the saute or the stuffing. So when you look at the recipe, there's gonna be a few steps, and don't get intimidated. It's just that there's a few components to the recipe. So the first one is gonna be that saute of the calabacitas, and then making the stuffing, and then making the sauce.
Wendy, we have one more question for those who happen not to have fresh garlic at hand. Is it okay to use the minced garlic that's in the little jars?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. You can do that. That's totally fine. I like to buy my garlic in bulk. And then so I'll just fill up a jar. And I get it peeled already. Like I'll go to Costco and buy the big old bag, and I'll keep some in like a jar. That way I have like access to it from my fridge. And then the rest I'll just put it in my freezer. And then I can use it as needed from my
That's a great tip, because I love it that the garlic is whole and it's already peeled. So like the work is done for you. But my biggest fear is if I don't use a lot of it at once, it gets moldy. I never thought of putting it in the refrigerator, in the
put it in the freezer, and the texture is gonna change a little bit. You don't even need to defrost it when you're gonna use it. The flavor is gonna be the same. It's just that the texture is gonna be a little different. It's gonna be a little more icy, obviously, but it's still that's a good way to buy it in bulk and then just use it as needed. Okay, so I've got my onions finely diced. I've got my chile right here and my garlic. So we're gonna take this baby. I'm gonna get my bench scraper here, or a dough scraper, so I can scoop everything up. But before I do that, we're gonna add a little bit more oil into our pan. I would say about half a tablespoon of oil. And you can really use any kind of oil. I just like to use avocado oil because I can heat it up really hot. It's not gonna burn.
Quick question, Wendy. That's a great tip. I'm going to do that next time I go to Costco because I love my garlic.
Yeah.
The question from Maricel Hernandez is, how long does it last in the fridge when you put it into the jar?
I would say about 2 to 3 weeks, depending on how often you use it. I mean, I'm cooking and I'm teaching classes all week, so I reserve this big old thing, but you can get like a smaller jar, really depending on how much you're going to use. And so even if you freeze it and then you put it in the jar in your refrigerator, try to do it in a smaller quantity because it'll last about a week. Yeah, because it's getting a lot of moisture once you add it to the freezer. So don't defrost like huge amounts of it unless you're going to use that huge amount. But honestly, I just like to grab it out of the freezer and just use it. Okay, so this is back here. And so we're gonna season it up really quick. Let me show you my go-to seasonings here. I've got some dried oregano. I'm gonna add about a 1/4 teaspoon of that into here. And this is my go-to seasoning whenever I'm gonna make any kind of like veggie saute. Oregano, a little bit of cumin. We're gonna use about 1/8 teaspoon or like a little pinch of that. And again, I like to buy my spices in bulk, and then I just bring them home and put them in a jar and label them up. And then I have this veggie like bouillon mix that I make. And I'm actually going to be teaching a class at La Plaza on how to make your own veggie bouillon, kind of like Nor Suiza, you know, but it's made with nutritional yeast and sea salt and all kinds of stuff. So that'll be another class that we're going to be doing. And let me bring you over here so you can see. Hopefully you can see that. See, everything's getting nicely sauteed. Everything's super fine, as you can see. So we're adding in the seasoning. We're layering it in, right? Every layer that you're going to be cooking, you got to make sure it has a little bit of seasoning in it. So we added a little bit of that bouillon that has some sea salt and all that stuff. So every time that we're adding a new ingredient into our pan, le echamos tantita sal.
I wish we had smell-o-vision. It's one of my favorites growing up with the onions and the garlic and the seasonings.
Yes, onion and garlic, it just smells so good. Really good. I wish we had smell-o-vision too. I've got it on high. And I'm really just looking to cook down those onions till they get really nice and soft. And because we chopped everything so fine, the cooking process tends to go by pretty quick. So while that's doing their thing, I'm gonna grab my tomate and let's cut into this beautiful tomate. I don't even know what it's called, but I'm telling you, my friend Steve List, if y'all have y'all want to follow somebody on Instagram that gives good gardening tips and all that kind of stuff, his handle is Ask Mr. List. And he always posts a lot of cool ways to, feed your tomatoes and all kinds of stuff.
That's such a gorgeous tomato.
Look at how beautiful that is. And I think I need to sharpen my knife, y'all. Talking about a sharp knife. Miren nomás qué belleza. And he hooked me up this weekend, so I made a frittata this weekend. And I just, served it with some fresh tomatoes on the side with just a little bit of salt and pepper. So good. There's nothing like a good summer tomato. And a lot of these ingredients that we're using today, they're at their peak right now. This is when you should be eating squash and tomates and corn, because this is when it tastes the best. I'm doing a rough chop on this one, and I can smell that these guys are ready. What I'm looking for back there is for a lot of that liquid to cook out before I add these tomatoes. So we can't forget our squash. We cut everything really fine. Pizquita de sal, a little pinch, just to flavor up that squash that's in there. You can add some pepper up in here también. Lo que quieran, whatever you want. And I'm gonna take these onions, these tomatoes, and throw them into my pan as well. Smells so good, Jimena.
You always inspire me. After your recipes are run out, and so today I have a vegan friend visiting, and so I'm going to make some chorizo. But I was like, what can I do as a side? So I think I'm going to make your calabacitas tonight.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, you can totally add some chorizo on here. I made this, like I said, I made it this weekend. My mom's like, oh, le podemos echar pollito. You can do whatever you want. But I just like to do it just like this, a little bit of queso, and it's so good. And earlier this morning, I cooked some frijoles, and I have some white rice leftovers from last night. So I'm gonna serve this with black beans and white rice. And you have a whole complete meal. Let me bring you back to here. Hey, sorry. I want y'all to see what's cooking over here.
That looks amazing.
So you see that that tomato brings in a lot of that moisture, and we're just looking to cook all that out. I have some organic sweet corn. This is also from Costco. They have it in their frozen food section. I think it comes like in a 5-pound bag. And I just like to have that because this guiso just by itself, just like this, I like to eat this for breakfast with like a egg over easy, some salsa, you know, and some tortillas, and that's breakfast. So this is a classic guisado. I know a lot of y'all are probably familiar with this guiso right here. The moms make this. So I'm looking to cook all of this liquid out. Okay, so we're gonna leave that there. We're just waltzing around. 1 second. I'm choking on the chile, y'all. Looking good, looking good. Okay, muy bien, let's make our sauce. That half of an onion that we didn't use, we're gonna use 1/4 of this onion. So, let me bring it down so you can see what I'm doing. Our onion here. So this is half of that other onion. So I'm just gonna use 1/4 of this into my licuadora. Another, I'm gonna use the whole thing. So again, this is just a rough chop. Chile serrano.
Quick question, Wendy. I know you put jalapenos in the guiso.
Yeah.
Is it going to be spicy, do you think, or you need extra heat with the salsa?
It's gonna have a bite to it. You can take the seeds out if you don't want it to be too spicy, but it is gonna have a little kick. Now let me grab some water. We need about 2 cups of water. Oh, looks about right. All right, so we're multitasking again. Here's our salsa. Le voy a echar poquito of our vegetable bouillon here.
Wendy,
Just a little bit.
you know how you're saying that you shop on Wednesday and you prepare, or Monday you prepare for the week.
Yeah.
We have here Ana Velasquez is asking curiously, what do you store in vinegar?
What do I store in vinegar?
Yeah,
Oh,
you mentioned that you did like
I soak it to clean it out, to wash my vegetables. I wash them with water and vinegar. So it's like 3 parts water, 1 part vinegar, and so I'll soak a lot of the stuff that I'm gonna eat, like the skin directly, like the zucchinis, my apples, pepinos, any kind of fruit que me voy a comer así without peeling it. I will soak in a little bit of vinegar to clean it, and then rinse it off and put it away. And that actually helps preserve a lot of the veggies too.
That's a great tip. So far, I've learned 2 new things today about the freezing the garlic and the wash the veggies. That's brilliant.
Yes. Okay, so I'm gonna take this over to the blender. We always start our blender on low and then we turn it up. Okay, that's good. So let's take our filling and I'm gonna put it in this same bowl that I had going on, where I put my zucchini flesh. So remember, we're only gonna use 1 pan. I don't want to dirty a bunch of dishes.
Wendy, I know you recommend, you suggested like, some vegan cheese and stuff. By chance, since I have a vegan friend coming in, I'm not too familiar with the cheeses. Is there any specific brand that you prefer over one or the other?
Usually I do follow your heart. You can find those. I feel like they're most accessible because you can find them like at Vallarta or Juan's. So follow your heart is a good one. But there's also like Myco's, I think it's like NYK, something like that. I've used it once and it was pretty good. All right, so let's assemble these. I didn't even turn off my pan. I just have it on really low back there. So let me show you how we put these babies together. So I've got my squash here that's been chilling. I've got my cheese. So we're just gonna add a little bit of cheese at the bottom. Really, it's maybe like probably a teaspoon of cheese for these little round ones. Because we're gonna put some more on top again. All right. Can everybody see what I'm doing here?
Yes.
All right. And see, they're still like they're not completely cooked. They still need to be cooked. So we're gonna simmer them in our sauce.
Yeah.
So let's take our filling here, and before I even fill them, I'm gonna try it for salt. Delicious.
Elvia Sanchez says, it's Minos.
There we go.
Minos, the vegan cheese can be found at Super Target.
There you go. That's it. I've even seen it at the 99-cent store. All right. So let's fill these up. And you want to like pack it in there because you want to make sure you get a lot of the filling in there. There's not really a lot of space, so you really want to get in there. And you see what I'm saying? How these are kind of rounded on the top. So if you get a flat lid, that might just flatten it out too much. So try to find a lid that's not too flat. This is looking good. Yeah, your vegan friend is gonna love these.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be, I'm gonna make the chorizo tacos, and this is gonna be the side.
Yeah, oh yeah. That smells good. You can do it, the saute, the filling, you can really use anything. I've done this with chayotes. You can do like cauliflower in here. Whatever really you want. Papas if you want. So I stuffed them, and you see I still have some left over. That's okay. No biggie, because we're gonna add it back into this pan. So let me waltz you back over here. And you see I didn't even clean it, nada. See, stop. Use that sizzle again. This is gonna be dinner tonight, y'all. Right. Now let's take our sauce. Give it a little shaky shake, a little zhuzh. So remember, we seasoned this a little bit, but then we can try it again.
Oh, I see. So they're kind of like braised?
Yep. They're gonna be braised in this tomato sauce that we're making. Okay, so I've got the heat up on high right now. And then I'm just gonna dollop this in here. And again, I'm gonna serve this. You could serve it just like that with a little, with tortillas on the side. But I've got some frijoles, some black beans that I made earlier today, and my leftover rice from yesterday. Okay, I'm gonna take a little bit of that cheese and just a little bit on each little boat. Looking good so far?
This is definitely be on the menu tonight.
Yes,
Absolutely.
and it's super easy to make quick. Now at this point, I just want to give it a little zhuzh, a little mix, and I'm gonna try it. Remember, we always gotta season as we go. So I've got my trusty seasoning here. Again, we're gonna make this in another class.
I'm so looking forward to that because I use that Knorr on everything.
Yeah.
And when you look at the label, you can't
You don't have
pronounce half the
stuff in there.
stuff in there, the coloring, the
Yeah,
salt
although
in that.
now I think they're stepping it up now. They made like a natural like version of it using like a sea salt and all kinds of stuff, but still it's always cheaper, it's more affordable if you make it at home, and then you can customize it to the flavor profile that you like. So I like in my seasoning I like to add like extra garlic powder to it and onion powder, and I like it to be a little spicier, so I'll add like chile California. My friend went to New Mexico, so they brought me some
Some hatch chilies.
Mexico chili. Yeah, they're already ground, ready to go. So see what I'm doing now is I'm spooning this little salsita, and you're gonna let this cook for about 15-20 minutes. And about every 7 to 10 minutes, you want to come in here, and especially this little bolita, the one that's sticking out, you really want to bathe it with the caldito that you're making. We're at a rolling boil right now. So let me show you what I mean about the tapadera. You see, if I put it on here, it's not gonna flatten out my squash, as opposed to like if I use a flat one, it's gonna flatten out my little round squash. It works. A flat one works if you have the flat squash, but I'm telling you, it looks, for the wow factor, it looks super cute if you use these little round ones.
I'm gonna look for the little round ones. They're really festive.
They're cute. You can even look for like the patty pan squash. They kind of look like little ghosts. Those would work too. Okay, so yeah, it was on high right now. I'm bringing it down to a medium low, and we're gonna braise that. So braising just means that we're gonna cook it in its juguito, and that's gonna be braising for about 15 minutes. I'm looking, everything's already cooked in there. I'm just looking for the zucchini to get really nice and soft, and then it's ready to be plated and eaten. Any questions? Y'all are quiet today out there.
Yeah, Juanita Ferrer says bon appetit.
Yay. Thank you. And so what I teach my students too is when we have downtime, when stuff is cooking, don't just sitting around and wait for it to cook. Let's clean up. Let's clean up, clear off our station, and get it ready for the next step, which is going to be plating. So how are you going to make your tacos tonight, Jimena?
Well, after we're here, I got to run to the store and get the soy. I get the extra firm.
Yeah.
And then it's always, what is best is fresh. So I get instead of buying the powders, I buy my own dried chilies and I powder them to death. And then I combine them a little with garlic and a little vinegar, let it sit. A lot of guajillo chilies.
You're not.
Oh yeah, no, it's so easy. It sounds crazy. But once you make it, it's awesome. And it's so you grind everything up. You got to squeeze all the water out of the tofu.
Yeah.
Put in your spices, put in your vinegar, put in your garlic, and let it sit because the tofu is like a sponge.
Yeah.
And absorbs it. And then you can either make your own tortillas or you buy some tortillas and literally just heat them up in the comal and then heat up the soy. It's already cooked.
Yeah.
And then have a nice fresh salsa on the sides and aguacate. But still, there's going to be two vegans. So I need to make something heartier.
Yes.
And so your side dish of calabacitas are perfect.
That'll get them filled up. My husband, my partner, he eats what I make, so I don't cook a lot of meat, but he loves to eat meat. But I made this, like I said, this weekend, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm full." He had like 3 servings of it, So my partner, he's vegan adjacent, because I don't cook a lot of meat here at home. So
I'm trying to switch things out. There's Mark Bittman. He's his health. He ate everything. New York Times. food critic for restaurants and all, and then his health. So his has a philosophy of being vegan for 5 days, and then 2 days have some fish, have
Yeah.
some chicken, but always a vegetable. So it's a
Yeah.
nice, sensible way of kind of balancing
Yeah, it's a good
plant-based,
balance.
vegan.
Exactly. And then you're able to tell in your body, you know, you're gonna feel lighter. I mean, I'm not pushing like weight loss or anything, but I mean like physically your body is not gonna feel weighed down by like really heavy foods. So we try to do that también, is just balance it out. My guilty pleasure though is buying a rotisserie chicken from Costco. And I could just make like a million different things with one chicken. There's a restaurant here in the valley. It's called Mi Ranchito Veracruz, and they sell Veracruz style food. So they'll have like their tamales wrapped in banana leaves, and they serve their tamales with a black mole, and they sell their mole. So I'll just buy like a big jar of the mole, and then I'll buy like a Costco chicken, and I'll make my own like enchiladas at home, or I'll make like tostadas de tinga or what have you, And my son doesn't really like to eat a lot of meat either, so that's always a plus here at the house. But get you a Costco chicken, you can make so many things. And then so I end up using like the huesos at the end after I take all the meat out, and I'll boil them down, and I'll make a stock for my dogs. So I'll put some carrots in there and some apples and just whatever, like if I have frozen veggies in the freezer, and then I'll make my own dog food for them too.
I have one more thing to see. Helly Lynn Porter says, this looks amazing. I'll have to make it once my squash is ready. Right now, I just picked a million blossoms.
Yeah.
Will you be doing a class on squash blossoms recipes or something recommended different for me?
So the squash blossoms, you can use them in this saute. So the same way that we sauteed everything in there, when you're adding your onions and your chiles, clean out your squash blossoms really nice, because at least mine, they always have like little ants inside of them, and use them in your saute. But you can also stuff them the same way that we stuffed our zucchini, the exact same way. Open your blossom, put a little bit of cheese at the bottom, and then put the stuffing, close it up, and then you can braise them in the juice back there too. Yeah, that's a good one. So good. I like to also just saute them with a little bit of onion and then throw them into a quesadilla. Or if you open them up to where they're like this and you take out that middle stem, you can make tortillas. You put your bolita of masa, and then you put your flour on top of it. And then when you squeeze it, it'll be nice and flat on top of your tortilla, and it just looks really nice.
I saw someone else did like quiche, and they used the flowers in the quiche.
Yeah, there's so many ways you can use them just raw. They taste really good raw as well, just like on a salad. My mom likes to put them in like in soup or what have you. But yeah, we got Abelardo back.
Yeah. How are the calabacitos going?
They're looking good. Let me take a peek at them. They're looking lovely. Yes. When we walk you over here, yes, you're gonna see that the cheese is nicely melted. Look at that.
All right, I'm gonna have to take a photo of mine. Hopefully it looks as good as yours. That looks so delicious.
And see, it really looks really cool too with this color that we added to the zucchini. That's gonna give it nice added flavor too. So this is pretty much done. The skinnier ones, these are pretty much done. So let me plate one up so y'all can see how we're gonna eat it. Any questions so far?
Elvia Sanchez is asking, did you do a class on vegetable chips, like zucchini chips, for example? But you can do everything, right?
Yeah, we can do anything. Yes. I have tons of kale right now in my backyard, like more than I like to admit or eat. So I've been looking at chip recipes, and apparently you can make chips out of kale. So I'm gonna try that, and then I'll let y'all know how it goes. Okay, let's get some frijoles and some rice in here. So excuse me. And I'm growing this year, for the first time, I'm growing epazote, which is a really traditional herb to use with your frijoles negros. It's a very medicinal, it helps like if you have any stomach ailments, and it just tastes amazing. And I have tons of it growing in the backyard right now. And so when you make it with your black beans just taste like so much better. Okay, so I've got a little bit of arroz right here. I got some frijoles negros, and I also, in my frijoles, I cook them with just, salt, some onion, the epazote, and then since my oregano is starting to flower, I cut all the flowers off. That way it promotes growth in my oregano plant, and I threw the flowers up in here. And oregano is one of those easy to grow herbs that you can grow in a container, preferably in a container because they tend to kind of take over. So let me grab a calabacita, and we're gonna put it in here. All right, y'all. Early dinner time. And I'm also gonna scoop some of that filling, that extra filling. Y ahí estamos.
Well, can you position it like we always do for our YouTube channel?
Oh, yeah. Check it out, y'all.
Yes.
Look at that.
One more time. Here goes. Let me. Uno, dos, y tres. All right, gracias. Thank you.
That's dinner for today. I like to serve this. I made some salsa last night. I'm gonna put some salsa on the side, some tortillas, and that's dinner right there.
Wendy, as always, you make it look so simple. It inspires me every day to eat more vegetables at home.
Yay.
Honestly,
Easy, y'all. Really easy.
No, but again, thank you so much. Just a few shout outs. You're working with Tia Chucha. Any other classes, any other community opportunities are out there for our folks in the Valley?
Yeah, check us out. Definitely at Tia Chucha's. We are planning our anniversary at a new location. Tia Chucha's is moving locations. They're still going to be in Silmar, but we're getting a bigger space to be able to service more people. So I've been working with a group of youth, the Social Warriors chef's class, and we're planning on having a really cool menu for the grand opening / anniversary. So keep a lookout for that. It's going to be catered by the youth that I've been teaching for about 1.5 years. And I'm kind of everywhere in the Valley. Check, follow me on Instagram. That's where I post, classes, or we do occasionally we're popping up and kind of offering some of the foods that I've been experimenting with. So definitely check that out. But we'll be back with La Plaza with more classes también. So follow La Plaza, and yeah, hopefully I'll get to see y'all soon.
Muchísimas gracias, Wendy. Éxitos with the kids there at Tia Chucha's. I'm a big fan of Tia Chucha's myself. So happy they're getting a bigger space to serve more of the community. And again, you do so much as well. Muchísimas gracias. The rest will be up soon. Y con eso le paso a mi compañero, Adelardo.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Jimena. Thank you. Wendy, looks delicious as always. And you're the lucky one. You not only get to cook, you also get to eat, as does your partner. I'm sure the rest of your family. So congrats on that. And congrats to Tia Chucha's as well for moving into your new space and just, growing. There might be a few growing pains here and there, but I'm sure it's going to work out okay. So congratulations on that. For all of you that joined us today, thank you for joining us. I hope we answered all your questions. Hope you'll be inspired by this recipe. If you didn't catch the entire session, or you want to see it again, please go to our La Plaza page on YouTube. It's at La Plaza LA, also on our Facebook page at La Plaza LA. And we also, of course, always have it on our website at lapca.org. What I just dropped into both the Zoom and the Facebook is our entire playlist of all our En Casa con La Plaza Cocina sessions. We're almost at, I think, about 50 of them, aren't we, Jimena? We've had Wendy on for a couple at least, and we always welcome people to check them out, give the thumbs up, or even make comments. And Wendy told you where you could reach her through her Instagram at Guayaba Kitchen. And yeah, well, you're all welcome to continue to cook this great food, give it a try, and then share photographs if you'd like, share memories, and yeah, let's keep it going. All right, well, let's keep this going. We have a couple more En Casa con La Plaza sessions going on this week. On Wednesday, a little bit of a heavy topic, the struggle for Nela, which is Northeast LA, La Lucha por Nela, which is of this young man's journey, John Urquiza, who started off in advertising, got involved with his community of Highland Park, and now is in the struggle of gentrification. And he's going to be talking about the different ways of gentrification that have taken place in Northeast LA, and then how they're preparing to battle the next one. Heavy topic, but that should be really interesting. That's on Wednesday, July 28th. On Friday, the return of Dan Guerrero happy hour with Abraham Quintanilla, music producer, entrepreneur, and of course the father of the late great Selena, and as well as his other children, AB and Suzette. So that's Friday, July 30th at 7 p.m. And then next in Casa con la Plaza Cocina, which is on Monday, August the 2nd, we have Samantha Martinez from Salsa Luchadora. Looking forward to that one. All right, so check us out on our website, lapca.org, YouTube at La Plaza LA, and then our Facebook page. We got a lot going on throughout the rest of the year, including, of course, En Casa con La Plaza, but especially here live at La Plaza LA. Our museum is open and our outdoor campus is open for these special events. So we hope to see you all here soon. So with that, buenas noches, buenas tardes. We'll see you all soon. All right, bye-bye.
Yes.